Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our session here. 3C Media Qikr AI Assistant. Unlock the power of your 3C Media content. I'm Evic Oropilla. I'm the web analyst at CCC TechConnect, and we actually have the Qikr team with us, two of the members, Sam Vedernikoff and Tim Chang. TechConnect is the California Community College Chancellor's Office grant-funded project that provides multiple technology services to students, administrators, faculty, staff, and all colleges in the system. Why this is important is actually for this session is that this pilot that we're running is going to be off of the 3C Media service part of this. So if you guys don't know what the services are for TechConnect, Confer Zoom, I'm going to guess that 90% of you people hopefully use that in the system for some type of either courses or for meetings. 3C Media, as I just mentioned now, which is the repository video services part of the grant. And then I know you guys know the last one because you guys are all here, is the OTC, the online teaching conference that we hold every year. And just to mention, all the services that we offer is free for the CCC system. Artificial intelligence is forcing its way into education at this point. And it's no longer a futuristic concept that we have. It's actually present-day reality. With so many opinions out there for both adoption and resistance, one must weigh the pros and cons and make an educated decision that benefits their use. So this quote right here by Oren Itozini from A12 is kind of what we see a framework for 3C Media is. AI is neither good nor evil. It's a tool. It's a technology for us to use, right? So, and this kind of falls in line with what we at TechConnect view as an AI framework for the 3C Media solution users, as it can be offer powerful tools that transform educators and materials into a knowledge base that could aid in student learning. Such a framework provides the necessary scaffolding for teachers to effectively, ethically, and equitably leverage AI tools, ultimately creating a more personalized, engaging, and effective learning environment for every student. This is also why TechConnect partnered with Qikr AI to establish an AI framework for 3C Media solution users so we can provide them with the tools to leverage the power of AI to assist in their tasks to achieve student success, and why we're offering this program to the system, the pilot. So the first tool in the AI toolbox that we're going to be offering is the 24/7 3C Media Qikr AI Assistant. As the name implies, quicker. It makes things faster and simplifies lesson plans, assessment, creation, and student support by empowering intelligent subject-specific assistance. So what it also does is that it offers 24/7 learning assistant. What's really important about ours is that there's a really easy integration into Canvas, and it utilizes a technology called RAG, which is Retrieval Augmented Generation technology. So what that does is that it uses your course-specific information and utilizes that as a knowledge base. So you can make it so that it's course and curriculum-based, whereas the other ones usually you probably have to put more guardrails in place, et cetera. So, and what we do also with ours is that we're allowing you guys to do customizable prompts. So depending on what your course is, we're looking at supporting that course. We've tested quite a few. We're actually in cohort 1 right now. And we feel like we have the capacity to do what you guys need to do in the system to help you out, whether you want to be Socratic or whether you want to just give the answers right away. We're here to kind of help you on that path. So what are the benefits for AI assistants can provide both educators and students, right? For educators, we're looking at it for automated administrative tasks to kind of help you guys out, something like course curriculum, grading, it can be anything, even doing a rubric. Data-driven insights, right? We want you to get actionable insights from what you guys are doing. So the statistics that you would gather from how much is being used, et cetera, we're gonna wanna know that from you guys when you use this product. Because like I said, we're customizing it for you. We wanna make sure that it's good for you. Curriculum development and support, personalized support for students, and then of course what's really important is reduce teacher burnout. So the longer hours that you guys have grading or creating things, we're hoping that this tool can actually help minimize that. So the benefits for students, it's pretty obvious, right? It's a 24-hour availability and support. So depending on the student's need, whether it's morning, nighttime learner, they'll have access to this course, this assistant in the course. What we did for ours also is that it's only in Canvas. So we made sure that it's integrated there to help you, and it can be accessed outside of it at this current point. Instant feedback, so the AI assistant can provide the instant feedback that they need. Again, if you wanted to, you can kind of probably tier this depending on what kind of model you want to have. Something that's more of a tutor, something that more kind of goes over looking at things, such as your writing. Those are kind of things that we're looking at. Enhance engagement, and then what we have in our roadmap is improve accessibility. We've been hearing that a lot of people want to add audio. So the ability to talk to it, ability to get information back from it via audio.
My name is Sam. I'm one of the co-founders of Qikr AI. And then before I get into the slides and live demo, let me give a brief introduction. So I graduated from UCSD in 2019 in computer science. And then I worked at Verizon as a backend engineer for 5 years. And now at Qikr, we're looking forward to giving the best experience for Gen AI, and then we're looking forward to driving student success and reduce teacher workload. Our mission at Qikr is to help students and teachers adopt Gen AI and take advantage of the features it has to offer. Okay, let's talk about Qikr AI, specifically in EdTech. So everyone knows these mass market LLMs like ChatGPT, like Claude, like Gemini. These are easily accessible and free to use. However, they come with some glaring problems, right? So they're known to hallucinate. They're known to make up answers. They're known even sometimes to make up their own sources, right? So these are the problems that we're trying to address with our platform. So we use advanced AI tools such as retrieval augmented generation, prompt engineering, and guardrails. And we use that to make sure that our AI assistants generate responses that are safe, accurate, and reliable. Our platform also enables teachers to build and customize these AI assistants by uploading their own material so that they can leverage this Gen AI concept. And they're able to upload their own material and make these AI assistants specific to a course. And they could even make multiple for a single course. These are the features that we offer with our platform. This is a concept that we heavily leverage throughout our platform. This is retrieval augmented generation. It was introduced by Meta in 2020, so this is a new technology. I created a call flow diagram to illustrate how we're using it in our platform today. So as you could see, on the right-hand side, where the number 1 is, that's where the teacher comes into play. So that is the first part. It can be split up into 2 parts. And essentially, the teacher is creating these AI assistants. So they're creating these AI assistants by adding files and adding URLs. And what happens when they add these files and URLs, the text is then extracted from those data sources and inserted into a knowledge base. So that's the first part. Now let's get to the second part. This is our bread and butter. So this is where students ask questions to these AI assistants. These students will ask a question, then the AI assistant will get all the relevant chunks of data from the knowledge base specific to that course. So whatever AI assistant they're talking to, they're gonna get the relevant chunks specific to that AI assistant. And then that question, along with the relevant chunks of data, is gonna get sent to the LLM. So what benefit does this provide? This provides context to the LLM. So now the LLM knows about the course and knows any kind of relevant chunks and is able to generate a more accurate, a safer, and more reliable answer. And another thing I wanted to highlight is that we also tell these assistants to prioritize the information that is from these knowledge bases. So ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, they could scour the internet, right? But now we're creating AI assistants that are specific to the knowledge base. So it uses the LLM technology as well as retrieval augmented generation, and that is the functionality that we're trying to highlight with the Qikr platform. As you guys can see, I'm logged into Canvas. So imagine I'm a teacher, I'm an algebra teacher, and I have a Canvas course, and I've created an Algebra 1 demo Canvas course. Let me click on this demo course, and now let me navigate to 3C Media Qikr. Okay, so now, as you can see, we have an integration directly with Canvas. So it's a seamless integration where you don't have to log into Qikr. You just have to, as long as you have access to Canvas, you have access to Qikr, right? Same thing with the students, same thing with teachers. As you can see over here in the left-hand navigation bar, there's the publish assistants, there's the conversations, as well as the new chat, assistant list, and analytics. So what students will be able to see is just the new chat, publish assistants, and conversations. What teachers could see is the assistant list. So they could see how many courses they're enrolled into, how many total assistants they have created, and then the publish assistants, and then they could also see the analytics. The first thing I wanted to do is showcase how to actually interact with these assistants, right? So I've already created an Algebra 1 assistant master copy, and I've uploaded some information related to Algebra 1, right? So over here, as you can see, I'm talking to the Algebra 1 assistant master copy, and let me ask it a slope question. This is something within the scope of Algebra 1, right? So what is the slope formula, right? So now I asked the question, now it's retrieving knowledge. So it's retrieving knowledge from that knowledge base that was created when you create the AI assistant, and then it's getting those relevant chunks. And now it's generating an output. Basically, if it does actually use any relevant chunks, it's gonna cite it in the answer as well. And then you could see it in the footnotes. So in this response, you could see, you could see that it was added to the conversation in the left nav bar. So you could reference it later on if you would like to. But you could see these footnotes, and these footnotes are clickable, and then you could also go to the reference link. So for this answer, there's relevant chunks that were taken from mathplanet.com. So this is one of the sources that was added to this assistant, right? The slope of a linear function. So directly from Qikr, you could click on the reference link. So if you upload a PDF file, if you upload some kind of docx, or a different kind of URL you want your teachers or your students to learn about, then they could also do kind of a deeper dive into that source as well if they would like to. And they'll see the relevant chunk that was used to generate the answer. Okay, so now I asked it about the slope formula. It was able to figure that out, right? What if I ask it about biochemistry, right? It's an Algebra 1 assistant. It shouldn't know anything about biochemistry, right? So if I ask it, what is biochemistry, it should not answer that question, right?
Can you give us that Star Wars voice, stay on target?
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
Maybe a future enhancement.
Talk to you, then yes.
But yeah, I asked it, what is biochemistry? And it's now spinning back to me. I'm your Algebra 1 demo teaching assistant. I can help you with slope, fractions, inequalities. Would you like help with any of those? Right? So it's pointing us back to relevant topics about Algebra 1. It's not answering questions that are unrelated to Algebra 1. Now let me actually go through the creation flow. So you go to the assistant list, and then you could add an assistant, right? So now this is the creation flow, right? So you would give it a name. I'm just going to give it an Algebra 1 assistant. Yeah. And then you can give a description, like helps teachers or helps students with Algebra 1 material. I'm only enrolled in one course, so there's only one offered. And then I would give the topics, right? So slope, fractions, and inequalities. And then you can give some examples if you would like. This is optional as well. This is where the prompt engineering comes into play. So we have the default instructions, right? So this is for a learning assistant. So this is a Socratic learning assistant. And then it's going to follow these instructions, essentially. So we give it the core principles. We give it the interaction guidelines. We give it prohibited actions. We give it examples, right? And then there's the responsibilities, the knowledge-based adherence, the grade level appropriateness, right? These are a bunch of different kind of topics that we give to these AI assistants, and now these are the instructions that they have to follow when they're generating the responses. So this is how you would make it even more Socratic, and you have that flexibility. So this is the default. This is something that we've thoroughly tested, and we know it works. So we know it's able to answer questions within the scope of the class. It's able to identify questions that are out of that scope and point them back to the relevant topics. And it's able to also prioritize the knowledge base that has been created by the teachers. Right, and then we also offer this. So this, I would highly recommend when you first create an assistant, use the default and kind of see how it interacts and see if you like the answers or if you don't, and then you could start modifying it. Then you can go to the custom, and then this is where you add your own prompt. You could copy and paste the prompt from the default and customize it to your liking, or you could just entirely create your own prompt. This is up to you, right? But we know we have thoroughly tested the default one, and then we've also played around with the prompt engineering. So if you give a bad prompt, a prompt that's not very clear, it could actually make the answers hard to understand. So that is one of the downfalls, but that's why we highly recommend using the default one and then adjusting it from there. Now for the knowledge base. So this is where you would upload the files and upload the URLs. So yeah, so to continue with this process with the creation flow, I'll upload, this is a fractions file, I'll upload this, it's a PDF, and then this is what you would see when you upload a file, and then I could also add a URL that's already saved. Yeah, so this is Math Planet, an Algebra 1 URL, and then this is the citations. So this toggle over here, it's enabled by default. This is if you want citations in the responses that are generated. So this is citations if any kind of relevant chunk is used to generate the answer, then the footnote is going to show up in the response itself. You could disable it if you would like to. Yeah, so that's an option you have. The answer is still going to be the same. This is just so, can students actually see the citation or not? Could they go to the source? Okay, now let me create this assistant. So once you create this assistant, then you're going to be navigated to the assistant list page, and you'll see creating your assistant may take up to 15 minutes. Thank you for your patience. So, and in the sync status, you could see it's in the in progress state, right? So typically it takes maybe 3-4 minutes if you create an assistant that doesn't have too many files, but the more files you add, the longer it takes. We've added files that are 50 megabytes. We've added 50 different files. And then usually it takes 10 minutes. So the more files, the more data that you upload, the longer it's going to take. But we haven't seen anything past 15 minutes. From our testing, I think it's best to create one assistant for the entire course and then upload all the material for that course. And then it'll be able to give you answers based on that. However, for example, if you're on week 1 and it has already the material for week 10 or something like that, then it might give them answers or give them sources that are a little bit advanced, right? So that's where the editing functionality comes into play. So let me go over this. So this is the one that I already created and we've been testing with a little bit. So the Algebra 1 Assistant master copy, if I edit it, right, it's gonna pre-populate. And then this is where you could add files and add URLs. So as your course is going along, you could add more URLs, you could add more files. That's what we recommend, but you could create it per module as well. We also have an analytics tab where you could see, this is for the last 7 days, you could see how many messages were sent, how many conversations, active users, and yeah. So that's what I wanted to wrap up on. So yeah, thank you so much for all the questions. Thank you, appreciate you guys.